Hi, I'm Cherie Bergeron, and we are going to be working a problem with accounting analytics. So this problem is going to require a pivot table for us to extract the information required. So first we need to remind ourselves, what is a horizontal analysis? It is just when we are comparing information from one year to the other year. And so we're typically going to use the oldest year from the most recent year, get the difference, and then divide that by the oldest year to find the percent change. So when we put it into Excel, of course, we'll start our formula with the equal sign, and then we will get the difference, which is the recent year minus the oldest year, and then divide that by the oldest year. So the problem looks like this. We are given a company, and we are given some data, and we're going to extract that data using a pivot table. And so we're given the steps to create the pivot table here, and then our first question. So let me go ahead and get that first question in our mind. Q1A says, listed by division, so we need it by division. What is the lowest percentage increase in total current assets? So we need to know what are total current assets from 22 to 23. And then it says to round the percentage to 2 decimal places, like 8.79. So when we create our pivot table, we will be looking for, by division, the company's current assets, which are those assets that are expected to be used up or turned into cash within a year or an operating cycle. And then we will have to calculate using formulas the percent change so that we can then find the smallest one. So let's get started. I'll open the spreadsheet. I can now see my data. The instructions say to click anywhere and to insert a pivot table. And the instructions say to insert it into a new worksheet. And so here I am in a new worksheet with a pivot table. So I will click on the pivot table fields, and you can just start and see what you get until you get what information you need. So I know that I need this by division. And I know that I need my account names because I'm going to have to pick out my current assets. And I also know that I'm going to need the amounts for these because I'm going to be able to compare the 2 years and get the percent change, which means that I also need the years. So here is my first version, and I'm going to look and see if this version makes sense to me. You know, I could figure out my information. I could get to my total assets like this. I would have to look through here. But number one, I'm seeing too many accounts. I only want my current assets. So I'm going to click on the account and I'm going to filter it. And I'm going to say filter. And I'm going to deselect them all, and I'm just going to pick those assets that will turn into cash or be used up. So cash will already be cash. Temporary investments can turn into cash. Accounts receivable can turn into cash. Inventories can turn into cash. Prepaid insurance will be used up in less than a year. I'll stop there because long-term investments would be a long-term asset, and I only want current assets. So now I can see just my current assets, and this completely makes sense, and I could in fact take the oldest year minus the newest year divided by the oldest, and that would work. However, as accountants, we know this is a horizontal analysis, so I would rather see my years across horizontally. And presentation is very important for people to be able to follow my work. So I'm going to redo this pivot table and see if I can't get my years across in my information in columns. So things going across are rows, and so what I really wanted was a year here and a year here. Well, as we can see, that's a column. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say, you know, I need to see these in columns. So now I have 22 and 23 next to each other. I do like that. But I need to see these accounts in a better way. So I just moved the accounts to the rows. So take a look and see how I've now set this up. And again, I recommend trial and error until you get used to this. And so that's why I wanted to show you the trial and error method. It wasn't that the other view was wrong. It's just, it's easier to see it like this. All right, so remember that we needed to see by division. So here I can see my division 1, and I'll be doing my total current assets here. And I can see my division 2, my total current assets, and my division 3, my total current assets. So let's put in a formula. I'm going to make F bigger so I can do this. So my formula is going to say my oldest year, I need to start with parentheses, so I'll put in parentheses, minus my newest year, which is 2022, and then I will, let me start that over because I really need to be using a mouse and I'm using the keypad, equals parentheses 2023 minus 2022 in parentheses divided by 2022. Enter. Alright, so I can see that this is a decimal and I want it in percent. So I'm going to click on General and change this to be a percent. And now I can see that it's 2.90. Alright, I need to do the same thing for Division 2 and Division 3. So I'm going to click on Division 1 and I'm going to say Control C for Control Copy. I'm going to click here and I'm going to say Control V. That's going to paste it. And I'm going to click to Division 3, Control V, and paste it. Now, it was asking me for what is the smallest percent change. Well, the smallest percent change is 2.90, and that was in Division 1. So let's go put that in and see if we have the right answer. So, listed by division, what is the lowest percentage increase in total current assets from 22 to 23? Round it to 2 decimal places. So we got 2.90. And I'll check my work and be sure that we're right. And then it says, what division had that lowest percentage? Well, that was Division 1. Again, I'll check my work, and it was. The next question is going to ask us for all 3 divisions combined. So we don't need to see the separate divisions. What is the amount of the greatest percentage change from 22 to 23 for the following non-current accounts? So now we need to filter and just be looking at long-term investments, property, plant, and equipment, and long-term note payable. And we're looking for the biggest increase. So let's go back to our pivot table. And it's a good habit just to undo any filter so that you can start with everything and then go back from there. And then we don't need it in division. So I'm going to click anywhere in this pivot table and that will open this back up. And I'm going to say, you know, I don't need to know about divisions this time. So I'm just going to drag that away. And now I can see everything. But as I recall, I only needed to know a certain few long-term assets. So I'm going to go to my asset filter, or actually that's all accounts right there. And I'm going to only pick long-term investments, long-term note payable, and I'm going to go check and see what else they said. Long-term investments, property, plant, and equipment, long-term note payable. So I need property, plant, and equipment. I'm going to say OK. This time they wanted to know which of these was the highest percent change. So again, equals, open parentheses, 23 minus 22, close parentheses, divided by 22. And I'm going to go ahead and change it into percent so that when I copy it, it is already in percentage. And then instead of doing that Control C, Control V, since these are all beside each other, I'm just going to get the copy crosshairs and drag it down. And so it looks like my highest percent change was property, plant, and equipment at 12.62%. So 12.62%. Check my work. I got it wrong. I'm going to reread my instructions and find out why. For all 3 divisions combined, I did that. What is the greatest percentage change for the following 3 non-current assets? Long-term investments, property, plant, and equipment, or long-term note payable? If the percentage change is an increase, enter it as a positive. If it's a decrease, enter it as a negative. You know what? I bet that negative could have been bigger, and I disregarded it because I was thinking that one went down. I thought they wanted the biggest increase. But let me read it again. I think they just wanted the biggest change, which happened to be a negative 12.7. Let me read it to see. What is the greatest percentage change? And in parentheses, they said, hey, that can be an increase or a decrease. So you can see my mistake and learn from it here, which is exactly what I want you to do. And the biggest change is a negative 12.7. So let's try that. Negative 12.7. And then we can do a check your work. And we got it right. Which account has the greatest percentage change? For us, it was a decrease. Was it long-term investments, property, plant, and equipment, or long-term note payable? So we look here, and that one belonged to long-term note payable. So we will choose that and check your work. So you'll continue answering these questions and changing your filters as needed. And let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.